no, please, Jake Paul, please don't fight Alex Pereira, and just don't do it, please. Jake Paul knocked out Mike Perry yesterday and decided to call out Alex Pereira, the two-weight UFC champion and two-weight Glory champion. Granted, Jake Paul's performance was improved, I guess you could say. Mike Perry's not a quality opponent for sure, but calling out Alex Pereira, kinda goofy if you want to know the truth. So, let's talk about Jake Paul's win. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. He beat Mike Perry, and I'm not that impressed. I'm not, okay? So Mike Perry, yeah, he's a bare-knuckle boxing champion. Let me close that. He's a failed out of the UFC, but my real concern with Mike Perry is the fact that he used to fight at 155 pounds. He barely cuts any weight to make 170. He had to gain weight almost to make 190, which is what this fight was at. So what does that mean? Jake Paul had horrible cut weight, is what that means. Jake Paul's weight cut is from 220 pounds most likely, and if you looked at them in the ring, they were massively different. You got Jake Paul here on all the steroids, and it's just, ooh, he looks jacked. And I mean, all the money science can buy, all the best juice science can buy, can you blame him? But I just have a hard time counting that win as a good win. The last two fights he had with those two barely boxers that he beat, I count those better than this Mike Perry win, honestly. This, I mean, if you remember correctly, this was supposed to be the fight that was a Mike Tyson fight, okay? He was supposed to go fight Mike Tyson, and that would have been really crappy too, probably, because Tyson's 60. So he kept his fight date because he was in camp and he didn't want to burn a camp and have it for nothing. So he fought Mike Perry, BKFC, former UFC champion. Mike Perry's exciting. He didn't bring too much to this. And that's really about it. Like, Paul went in there and he looked absolutely gassed. We'll be talking about that in a minute here and why that is. But he was tired by the third round. Mike Perry remember that third round, Mike Perry started to walk him down. It was like, oh, is this about to turn? And then, like, Jake Paul, he every time he touched Mike Perry, it would hurt him. Obviously, you got a 30-pound weight difference, you know. I'm willing to bet Jake Paul weighed in about 220 on fight night. Just rehydrating back up. But Mike Perry probably didn't weigh any more than what he weighed in at 190. It's like a 30-pound weight difference. We have weight classes for a reason. And the reason is, it's not as fun. Like, size parity, Mike Perry probably would have won that fight, especially if he didn't get, like, touched. Every time he got touched, he was hurt. So, like, if we can get rid of that, who knows where Jake Paul would be. Granted, kudos to Jake Paul for taking this fight. It is a hard fight for anybody else. But, like, I mean, let's be honest. Paul's on the best PEDs possible. And I like that, okay? I'm not saying, oh, he's on PEDs, get him out of here, No, that's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying here is the fact that Jake Paul's there, and Mike Perry's probably on something, but it's not quite the same. His body's not taking to it the same. But the size is what's the big difference here. Did Jake Paul improve? I felt like he kind of did early on, and then that weight cut and the gas really kind of hurt him. So, early on we saw, first of all, through the whole fight, we saw the jab, just giving Mike Perry fits. I mean, he had the hardest time possible with a jab of all things. And it's because it's a jab that he's not used to. It's a heavy, thudding jab from a man 30 pounds bigger than him. And if that doesn't hurt him, man, he's got a head full of granite. And what does that say about Nate Diaz, who took this fight and went 10 rounds with him? Like, it's crazy, right? So, yeah, it was the jab that really did good work for Jake Paul now, and I'm gonna be fair with this assessment because he didn't look that much better against the guy he should have beat. I don't know if it was the weight cut or I don't know if he's just not getting better, but he's not gonna get better if he doesn't fight better fighters. Mike Perry's not one of those better fighters. Mike Tyson's not one of those better fighters, But he did utilize the jab. Now, normally Jake Paul throws that jab to the body, and he likes to come over to the top with the right hand, and it never really is that effective unless you're Tyron Woodley, which is that obviously ESPN knockout of the year that Jake Paul had. Against Mike Perry, he did some really cool different things. So the jab to the body, the right hook to the body, so he's come with the right and smashed the midsection of Mike Perry, which was kind of smart. I don't know if Jake Paul intended it like this, but it was smart because he knew he was going to have the gas tank disadvantage. I forgot to mention earlier, like when he was cutting weight, he had to weigh in a second time because he couldn't quite meet the 190 mark. So, him hitting the body really did a good job of keeping Mike Perry's cardio gas tank discrepancy within range, right? So you have all that, and overall though, like Jake Paul's performance, great. I thought, he fought a lot better. He did a lot of other cool things too. He was moving laterally a lot instead of vertically. The entire time, a lot of vertical movement still, just going straight back on the line, which any regular boxer that's actually halfway decent would kill him with that. Literally just a double jab and a right cross stepping in on him. So yeah, I thought, Paul fought well. He did hurt Mike Perry once. He threw a left hook, then a jab, which I'm like, oh, we're jabbing off the hook now, Jake Paul. I like that. He threw one uppercut in the fight. I'd like to see more of that from him, especially against somebody like Mike Perry, who's leaning over, just kind of looking for that uppercut, honestly, because if Paul could have landed that would have been fantastic of a finish, right? That would have been a great finish. But he only threw one of them, and he's thrown some uppercuts in the past. I'd like to see him throw more. Not necessarily rely on it, because the uppercut can get you in danger. But if he can use that as a weapon on somebody who wants to close the distance and fight in with him, because I feel like if you could fight in on Jake Paul, you could really take away a lot of his weapons. That uppercut would come in handy. The defense of Mike Perry was absolutely abysmal. Terrible. Horrible. The worst I won't say it's the worst Jake Paul fought, but it was pretty bad. Okay, so Mike Perry has his fighting style. He did not, I think this fight was short notice. It was, because this was supposed to be Tyson. His hands were down, and he didn't move his head. What? What are you doing, Mike Perry? And you're already 0-1 in boxing. You've done this before. This isn't bare knuckle where you can just be stronger than somebody. A lot of people always point to the fact, oh, bare knuckle, you're going to get knocked out bigger than bare knuckle because you ain't got no gloves on, no padding. These gloves have weight, and that weight brings momentum. Boxing gloves hit a lot harder than MMA gloves, and MMA gloves hit harder than bare knuckle boxing. It's just a fact. Momentum, guys. I wish people would quit saying, oh, man, bare knuckle, they hit hard in bare knuckle. Or I'd like to see Francis Ngannou fight bare knuckle because, oh, he'd kill somebody. It's not how that works. It's just not. So, the defense of Mike Perry, though, like, it's just abysmal. His head's on the center line the entire time. He's there to be hit. He doesn't move his head at all. And when he does, he's dipping, and Jake Paul's trying to land that right cross over the top of when he's dipping, because he's always dipping to his left. It's just horrible defense. I just hold my nose, because it wasn't that good of defense at all. I don't, again, I'm not rating this win over Mike Perry very high. It's like a tune-up fight for any regular boxer. Now, Jake Paul's not a regular boxer. He has to fight somebody with a name. And me and my friend Blaine, his name's also Blaine, we were talking about it, and he's like, he's calling out Canelo, he's calling out this and that. And I was like, yeah, but you got to remember, Jake Paul's in this weird spot to where he has to fight a name, but he also needs to take this trajectory of a boxer. So how's he going to get more experience? And he's going to fight names like Tyron Woodley, Anderson Silva, Nate Diaz, Mike Perry. I mean, these guys, they're not boxers, but they can throw hands. Especially like Anderson Silva, who's actually kind of a boxer, beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. But Nico Ali Walsh, the grandson of Muhammad Ali, in case you didn't know. This is a joke, guys. Anyways, he said Jake Paul's not going to get any better if he doesn't fight anybody good. I really agree with that statement. He has to fight somebody better. The one time he did step up and fight somebody that was good, Tommy Fury. Didn't end well for him, did it? Tommy pointed him up all night. There's obviously the date with KSI in the future. There's a rematch with Tommy Fury. There's, ranked guys at 200 that he can fight. Sure, he'd lose those, I think, though. So he's in a weird spot. And I don't know where he can go from here, I don't know if Jake Paul can actually start moving into title contention, because I think that's his ultimate goal, is to move into a title contention. I don't know if he gets there, though. He's fought 2 actual boxers, 3 if you're going to count Anderson Silva, because Silva he was a boxer. He had boxing wins. I got to give him credit there. And credit where credit's due. Jake Paul's taking fights that look scary on paper. He just needs to quit being a weight bully. And he needs to not fight 85-year-old Mike Tyson. That'd be like if he fought Joe Biden. Not quite. But he needs to not fight Mike Tyson. Like, that's not a way to win fans over. Fans love Mike Tyson. Beating Mike Tyson, that's not it. But they're going to fight in November. I might go to that fight if I can make it, if I can swing the trip. But only to say I saw Mike Tyson fight live. The knockout itself was fairly simple. You know, every time Jake Paul touched Mike Perry, like we said, it hurt him. And especially as the fight went on. So Jake Paul's landing this jab after jab after jab, and it's softening up. One of the guys on the announcing crew said, like, he's tenderizing his steak before he eats it, and it's like, that's right. That's exactly what he's doing. And that's exactly the effect it had, if you want to know the truth. He got Mike Perry tendered up. He was hurting him with the jab, and it was the hook off the jab off the hook that hurt Perry at the very end there, if I'm remembering correctly. But Jake Paul kind of pounced on him, and he started to, just hunt for the finish. And he, eventually he did get the finish. Mike Perry went down for the third time because he got knocked down 3 times in this fight. Like, Jake Paul's heavy-handed. He's fighting guys too small, though. But he knocked Perry down 3 times. Third time, Mike Perry gets up, stumbles. Oh, what can you do? Like, what can you do? There's nothing Jake Paul could do there. I know he wanted to get the cold finish like he got with Tyron Woodley. Who doesn't want that, though, right? But, yeah, he got the win. So, kudos to Jake Paul. He's getting better. Technically, he's getting better for sure. I do think Jake Paul has a lot of room for improvement. And the ceiling on him is not, like, super high, but it's high enough for me to be like, hey, you watch Jake Paul. He might make some noise and get him a little title shot lined up that he doesn't deserve. They set him up with a title shot that's kind of harder to lose for him. Boxing likes to put titles in hands of people they like. Jake Paul brings the money. He got the knockouts. It might be over Tyron Woodley, Ben Askren, and Mike Perry, but he got the knockouts. I do want to see him like improve a little bit more, though. I want to see him get a little bit better, because what we saw there, it wasn't enough better from the last time we had a serious fight with him with Nate Diaz. Going with Nate Diaz was a good thing. He went the distance. That was fine. But I don't know. Like, he needs to fight somebody good. They offered Nico Ali Walsh, who's way too small for Jake Paul. He needs to quit picking on small people. He called out Alex Pereira. Oh no, please don't do it. Please. He don't want that. He don't want to fight no Alex Pereira, that's for sure. But Jake Paul has improved as a boxer. He's gotten better. And we did a video on him getting better right here. And this was like after the Askren fight. He showed his improvements. Now, the improvements have kind of leveled off since then, but at the same time, Jake Paul continues to win. 9-1, 10 pro fights now. How far can he go? Can he win a title?